Most football-loving Norwegians probably remember Ålesund best for the 2009 Cup. And I'm not sure if Ålesund qualifies as an eco-lighthouse, but one giant I do remember is Tor Hogne Åre. And yes, that's all 204 centimeters of him. Ålesund was founded in 1914 in Tango and blue. A weird combination, maybe, but Norway's most distinctive, no doubt. It's part of what gives Ålesund its identity. The color might not be winning matches these days, but when it comes to color theory, Ålesund knows what they're doing. So, why Tango? Well, we have to go all the way back to the 1800s, to Buenos Aires and Montevideo, where Tango was born in the streets full of rhythm and cultural fusion. Eventually, the wave hit Paris, and 1913 was soon to be dubbed the year of Tango. Tango was a shade of orange, taking its name from North African tangerines. And disclaimer for Norwegians, this is not the same fruit that shoemaker Andersen stuck 24 cloves into. And that's when Ålesund decided that this should be their color. They wanted a color that stood out, and even 100 years later, it still does. Both iconic and historic. Thus the slogan, Tango since 1914. A perfect double meaning. And Tango it was, because Ålesund doesn't just have a historic color, they have historic matches too. In 1918, against Kristiansund, they played 3 to 4 hours depending on who you ask. 8 extra periods. Kristiansund then eventually lost the match 3-4 to Ålesund. And the Norwegian Federation, they said it's time to change the rule. They decided 2 extra periods was plenty enough of football. And when it comes to the logo, I feel like this one is actually really unique. It's subjective and objective. If we're being honest here, I quite like it. The typography is sharp, unique, and full of character. I feel like the emblem, though, looks kind of like too much of a basketball. One thing that becomes a lot clearer when you scale the logo down is that it does resemble a war symbol, or one of those shiny medals you'd get from war times, like a badge of honor. And that doesn't really bring the brightest associations these days. As soon as I stripped this logo down, it felt more and more similar to something I'd seen before. And I'm not saying that Ålesund is the Norwegian New York Yankees, but it definitely feels similar. And that's because Ålesund uses a monogram for their emblem. In comparison though, Ålesund feels a lot more illustrative, whilst the Yankees feels cleaner and more smooth. This obviously represents their over 100 years heritage, but also gives them a distinct personality. At the end here, I tried to create a more simplistic monogram based off the original. I tried to spell out the Norwegian Å sound, which can be written as a double A. I feel like the very last option was the closest to actually being a minimalistic redesign. In the end, I'm still no designer, but it was a fun little challenge to test my skills on a historic Norwegian club. At the end, I just want to say that taking someone's pride and joy and dissecting it into a few pieces and making it unrecognizable is definitely something that would get a lot of people mad. But in the end, I think we do ended up with something interesting. I think we added something with characteristic, and I do think it works as a monogram. So thank you so much for tuning in for this episode, and comment who you'd like to see the next time.